Hi, this is Mordechai Turchiner with the third in a series of 3 videos on Rav Kook on vegetarianism. This is part of our Beit Midrash Zichron Dov's series of daily videos that we are producing this summer. To receive these videos in your email each morning, please go to the link in the description below, and we will be glad to add you to that email list. Also, if you want to like and subscribe to our channel, hey, that would be wonderful. Thank you. So in the first of our 3 videos, we talked about the fact that we start out as vegetarian in the beginning of the Torah, and we asked why that changed. In particular, we asked how that's consistent with the fact that we are taught within the Torah to be humane to animals. We gave a quote from Mishum Shnefalhurst. So we gave a couple of explanations. Then in the second video, we moved to the thought of Rav Kook. And Rav Kook says that there's a cruelty in human beings right now that is why God allows us to eat from the flesh of animals. However, God expects us to grow out of it. But that left us with a couple of questions. Specifically, why make a concession to that cruelty and allow us to eat animals? And number 2, so does that mean that we should all now grow out of it right now? We should all become vegetarian, and that's that. So that's what I want to address in our third video. Rav Kook argues that taking on vegetarianism before we are ready, before we've eliminated that cruelty, would be catastrophic. And in saying this, he explains why we are not there yet. He says, there is a fear that if we become vegetarians out of a feeling of mercy for animals, because we have pity on those poor animals, but we haven't yet gained a respect for and a love for all of Hashem's creations, the result is going to be, sure, we protect animals, but then we take out our cruelty on human beings. That's Rav Kook's concern. Listen to my translation of the following passage in Rav Kook. He says, how absurd it would be being generous with animals as though he, the human being, had already completed his accounts with human beings, created in the image set by God. He says, without doubt, this would cause great damage. When animal lust to eat flesh grew, it would not distinguish between human and animal flesh, since this vegetarianism would prohibit animal flesh with a legal prohibition. That would be it. And murder and slaughter of people for consumption of their flesh would be widespread. And, this sounds grotesque and this is really unimaginable, but think about it. In the event that you say no eating animals whatsoever, and there is still a cruelty in human beings, there's still an inability to respect everything around us as creations of Hashem with their own spiritual value. So the result would be to say, I'm going to lash out wherever I'm going to lash out. And even though it sounds like a reach, Rav Kook notes that wicked people will at times adopt special, unique ethical behaviors to quiet their inner doubts about their ethical conduct. And he says you could end up with people who take on vegetarianism simply as a way to quiet their inner conscience regarding the cruelty that they are displaying to other human beings. And in this, Rav Kook is quite a bit before the Nazi era, but he's predicting the vegetarianism of the Nazis, Yamach Shemam, not all of them, but certain people in the upper echelons. Listen to this quote. The human sensitivity for the good and the just seeks to fulfill its task. It also knocks at times on the doors of the heart of the wicked, forcing them to seek to quiet their natural hunger for righteousness. Remember, Rav Kook believes, we said this in the second video, that we are naturally progressive. We have an inner hunger for righteousness. So he says, sometimes you'll see a cruel, wicked person choose an ethical path, rejoicing to do something righteous to quiet the rebuke of his innards and the natural regret which beats in his heart. So what he's saying is this. As long as there is cruelty in the heart of the human being, if we go the route of, well, I feel bad for the animals and say, don't eat the animals, that cruelty is going to express itself in other ways. we will not have accomplished our goal. So you might say, well, so why should the animals suffer for the sake of the human being? But there is a hierarchy in the Torah. There's a hierarchy of the neshamot, of the souls. And even if, as we said in the first week, animals have their own spiritual role to play, nonetheless, it's not on the level of the spiritual role that the Torah assigns to the human being. So better that the human being should eat animals than end up eating human beings. And what's supposed to happen then is that in the meantime, we are supposed to grow, and that should bring us to elimination. And so we have mitzvahs that are meant to bring us to ethical sensitivity. We even have such mitzvahs within the process of eating. Rav Kook writes regarding the mitzvah of kisui hadam, the fact that there is a mitzvah that if you slaughter an animal, you're supposed to cover the blood of beasts and birds. He says that is a kind of divine protest. The Torah says, cover the blood, hide the source of your humiliation, your ethical weakness. So the goal is for us to come to recognize the value of all that God created, to recognize the animal and the human being as part of that creation. And if we pursue vegetarianism out of pity for the animal, it will result in dragging the human being down. We need to pursue vegetarianism out of recognition of the spiritual worth of animal and human being. The Torah is meant to bring us to that point, and God willing, in the near future, we will reach it. Thank you for watching.